When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Kroger for thousands of appetizing ingredients that inspire countless mouthwatering meals. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices. Plus, extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week and up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with points. So you can get big flavors and big savings. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
You know what? I don't know about anybody else out there. We think that we're not enough in many different ways. I'm not a good enough mom. I'm not a supportive enough mom. I'm not a good enough wife. I'm not a good enough dog owner. I'm not a good enough housekeeper. I'm not a good enough cook. We think that we're not enough. I feel like we're going through some collective stuff.
Welcome to the No Guilt Mom podcast. I am your host, Joanne Crone, joined by the lovely Bree Tucker.
Why, hello, everybody. How are you?
Guys, even if you've listened to episodes prior to this year, this is the first episode we're recording in 2025. So, let's celebrate for that one.
That's my personal air horn.
It's like a big thing because I feel like, and I mean, Bree, you've said this as well, that you really have to work to get excited for have to work to get excited and optimistic about 2025. And I think that's true for a lot of people right now.
I think it is. I have a theory, which was the inspiration behind this episode. But I feel like I talked to a lot of people in my bubble. We're just like, I don't know. I'm just not really excited about things. I don't really have much motivation. I don't really get what's going on. And yeah, I feel like we're going through some collective stuff.
We have to work through that I always think about it to prepare ourselves for what's coming up, and what's coming up may be fantastic and what's coming up may be hard and a struggle, and we're going to mentally prepare ourselves to get through it. And that's what this episode today is meant to help you do, right, Bree?
Yes. Just everything that's going on, just the turmoil throughout the world. It just makes me feel so uncertain of our future that it's hard for me to be able to focus on the day-to-day life.
I feel with this though, and I hear that with this, never before in our history have we had information available to us so readily from so many sources.
Mm-hmm.
This kind of stuff has probably been going on from the beginning of time. We have just not been as aware of it, nor have had as many people commenting on it or making TikToks about it or influencing us every day of our life as we do right now. But let's get into it in this episode. So we've got some great tips for you. So let's get on with the show.
You want mom life to be easier. That's our goal too. Our mission is to raise more self-sufficient and independent kids, and we're going to have fun doing it. We're going to help you delegate and step back. Each episode will tackle strategies for positive discipline, making our kids more responsible and making our lives better in the process. Welcome to the No Guilt Mom podcast.
Okay, guys. So while preparing for this episode, and again, like we said, Joanne mentioned at the beginning, I've had this theory since, Thanksgiving, that we're all collectively dealing with something. And Joanne and I have always been really open about our mental health and everything. And I have struggled with depression and anxiety my entire life since I was, Since I was 13, I have been having struggles with all of this. And so I get really interested because you and I are the same, Joanne, in terms that I feel like a lot of times you and I deal with the high functioning side of it. When I read things online about high functioning anxiety or high functioning depression, I feel like it really well describes us because there's this myth that if somebody is depressed, they don't get out of bed, they can't do anything, they stop eating. And I'm saying it's a myth because having been through chronic depression and having been through really dark times in my depression bouts where I couldn't get out of bed, I couldn't eat, I couldn't do anything. That's not the same thing as what's going on right now. I am feeling sad about things that are going on, and I can't shake this. Why am I not feeling motivated? Why am I feeling sad? Because like you said, there's my life isn't that bad. it's going pretty good.
But here's also the thing with high functioning. And I think this is a really important point to make because it was just brought to my attention by my husband, who is going through his whole journey right now about autism and high functioning autism in particular. High functioning just means that other people around you can't see it happening, but you are still struggling on the inside. So like, I think high functioning, we think that they're like, oh, they're able to like do the world and they're able to do the things. Really, they're still just struggling. Other people just can't see it. It's invisible.
Exactly. That is that's like, okay, so if you are listening to this and you are as excited as I am and you're like, exactly, oh my God, that resonates so strongly, then yeah. And guess what? You're not alone because the American Psychological Association, they have done a lot of research on this. And first of all, there is mounting evidence that at least in the United States of America, that we are dealing with collective trauma from the last,
5 years.
Yeah, right? I was going to say, how far back do I want to go? I'm going to say at least 5 years, if not a little more than that.
Gotta be the start of COVID. Gotta be the start of COVID. If not before, yeah.
Exactly. And then they also said that over 69% of Americans felt significant stress going into November of 2024. And that's where I got this thing where I'm like, my personal armchair diagnosis as we're all dealing with some degree of this high functioning depression. And so I wanted to share some of the signs or that you might be dealing with this. And again, nothing can replace going to the doctor, getting diagnosis, getting treatment. Treatment is great.
Therapy. Go to therapy.
Yes.
To therapy. Both of us have been to therapy. We love it.
Yes.
Highly endorse.
Highly endorsed. But here are the signs that you might be dealing with high functioning depression. And you know how we are. Like after I tell you the signs, we've got tips on how to handle this. We've got tools. But one of them is isolating from friends and family. And that doesn't mean never seeing them, but phone calls come in and you hit voicemail. The invites come in and you're like, I think I'd rather just stay home. No longer finding joy in the activities you loved. And Joanne's heard me complain about this a lot. That was me for a Christmas season. Like Christmas has always been this huge thing that brings me joy and lights me up. And this year it was overwhelming. Yeah. It was just, I want to do the bare minimum because I don't care this year as much.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I mean, that's how I feel every year. I just feel overwhelmed. I know it's a source of overwhelm. And so I try to put it in this little box and try to do what I can and get through it.
See, I love that. For me, it never was overwhelmed. This year was the first year I was like, this is too much. Persistently criticizing yourself. Like, oh, I don't know. Like thinking to yourself, I should do better. I should be better at this. I should do more. I should be more motivated. Or when you have those days where you're like, I'm just going to stay home and chill. Dang it. I should have done X, Y, and Z instead. I suck. Yeah. Like, right? That we'll talk about Bob a little bit later, but Bob is a jerk. It's not the word I wanted to use, but I'm trying to keep this clean.
Well, the persistently criticizing yourself, that is something that has been, I feel like, a personality trait of myself. It's gotten better. It has gotten
both
better.
Have it.
A lot of my work over the past few years, it has gotten better. It's so that criticizing voice. And if you have that too, just know that it could go down. Instead of becoming this loud booming thing that you think it's true, it's this little nudging voice in the corner where you're like, I'm going to ignore that and go through what I'm going to go through right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, here's a big one. And Joanne's going to laugh because it's been a huge one for me. Frustration with small irritations or setbacks. We're laughing because the inside joke, people, is that like when Joanne has to tell me something, she's like, okay, I don't want you to get upset. I love you. And like, I will lose my shiznit over I was so mad at an editing software on Friday. I was cussing up a storm. Husband was upstairs a whole floor away from me. And he's like, are you okay?
Yeah. I'm not going to deny that. I'm not
going to. Yeah. And you can tell when my depression or anxiety is getting worse because my ability to deal with frustration just goes out the window. And I don't have great frustration level tolerance to begin with. I have to work at it. But man, when I get really down, I cannot. It's a hard one for me.
It's a hard thing for everybody. I think a lot of people get that. A lot of you, if you're a mom right now who snaps at your kids, it's probably a symptom of low level depression or anxiety or high level depression or anxiety. Just know that you can't talk yourself out of that one. Just know that it's there.
There are things you can do, but you can't just say, I shouldn't do it. Because guess what? That's not criticizing yourself again. That's going back to the one before. Just FYI, in case you didn't see that one. Here's one that I think a lot of us have. Turning to mindless habits for hours on end. Death scrolling, anybody? What?
That is scrolling.
I had to put a limit on my phone recently, and it has helped. I've tapped out my social media, which does make it interesting, though, when your job is our job.
For social media? I don't go on social media that often. It's funny. I was talking to someone else. It was actually Zach.
Zach Watson?
He changed his name. Yes, but he changed his IG name. And so I don't know what it is now. It's not Real Think Zach Share anymore.
Zach Mental Load Coach. He's in our Happy Mom Summit, which we have every year. So you will see him in March if you come to that free event, people.
But anyways, I was talking to Zach. We were talking about Instagram, and he's like, yeah, don't you scroll? Like, do you scroll social media? Like, what's popular? I'm like, I don't scroll. I don't scroll at all because I find it amps up my anxiety and my comparison. I'll start scrolling and I'll start looking and be like, oh, I should be doing that. I should be doing that. I'm like, you know what? This isn't good for me. I'm just going to focus on creating, putting stuff out there, and then I'll deal with things from there. When I say deal with things from there, guys, the comment section is really harsh on your brain. If you are a sensitive soul, it's really harsh. But anyways,
we have some more signs coming up for you right after this break.
Americans spend an average of 90% of their time indoors. But did you know indoor air can be up to 100 times more polluted than outdoor air?
Breathe easy with Air Doctor, the award-winning air purifier that eliminates 99.99% of dangerous contaminants like allergens, viruses, smoke, gases, mold spores, and more. Air Doctor was voted best air purifier by Newsweek, and it's no surprise that 98% of Air Doctor customers agree, Bree included, that their homes air feels cleaner, safer, and healthier.
Unlike other purifiers, Air Doctor captures invisible particles 100 times smaller than standard HEPA filters. Head to airdoctorpro.com and use promo code NGM to get up to $300 off today. Air Doctor comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee plus a 3-year warranty, which is an $84 value free. Get this exclusive podcast-only offer now at airdoctorpro.com. airdoctorpro.com using promo code NGM.
This episode is brought to you by Amazon. Sometimes the most painful part of getting sick is the getting better part. Waiting on hold for an appointment, sitting in crowded waiting rooms, standing in line at the pharmacy, that's painful. Amazon One Medical and Amazon Pharmacy remove those painful parts of getting better with things like 24/7 virtual visits and prescriptions delivered to your door. Thanks to Amazon Pharmacy and Amazon One Medical, healthcare just got less painful.
Are you a parent in need of a laugh and a little escape? Look no further. Parenting is a Joke is the podcast you've been waiting for. Hey, I'm Ophira Eisenberg. I'm a stand-up comic and parent. And each week I chat with one of my top comedian pals who, just like you, are juggling careers, busy lives and schedules, and raising a family. You can expect candid stories, hilarious mishaps that happen on stage and at home, and just a lot of laughs. There's no expert advice here. Well, actually, sometimes a good idea does sneak its way in, but mostly just pure, relatable fun to remind you that we're all in this parenting adventure together. New episodes of Parenting is a Joke drop every Tuesday, so tune in, get ready to laugh, unwind, and maybe even feel a little bit better about your own parenting. Because sometimes that's exactly what your therapist, pediatrician, and bartender ordered. Subscribe now on your favorite podcast platform.
Okay. So another is always feeling low in energy, is another symptom of depression, anxiety. Bree is shaking her coffee right now at the mic. If you hear that, that is her coffee. But okay, so let's talk about coffee for a second, because coffee, I just enjoy the taste of it. It is almost like a drug. I sip it and I drink it black. Bree, I drink it black. I like the actual taste of the coffee. It calms me down, the coffee in the morning.
But you and I drink coffee for different reasons, like you just said.
Mm-hmm.
You enjoy it.
I do.
And you and our friend Jen are my coffee connoisseur friends that are all about coffee. And I feel so bad because that's not me. Like I am creamer with a splash of coffee. And I do that because I need the caffeine because I am tired and like low energy. So yeah, I drink coffee for a whole different reason. Now I like it. I am picky, but at the same time, whenever you've tried to drink my coffee, you're like, oh my God.
Oh my God,
it's like a liquid cookie. Ah,
it is. That's a good description of it, actually. It's a liquid cookie.
It is. It's like a liquid dessert is what I do. So yeah, so being always feeling low in energy, and I used to be able to drink like just a small coffee. Now I drink 2 coffees every morning.
Ooh.
And it's because of the low energy. But I'm also dealing with the whole perimenopause thing. But if you're not going through that, if you don't have a reason for the low energy, it just kind of seemed to pop out of nowhere. It could be part of this high functioning depression. And then the last sign I wanted to go over is managing your day-to-day tasks, but not feeling much about it.
Mm-hmm.
Feeling kind of like you're a zombie, just doing it. But
yeah, I look at this list and this list so describes me from previous years. And I want to say this to everyone listening. If this list describes you, know that it doesn't have to be this way. There is a lot of help through it. And I can tell you the tips that we're going to give you, they help immensely and they're absolutely necessary to help in your life. I was diagnosed with severe anxiety by a mental health professional. And I did get on medication. And that medication has been like a godsend to me because it's not like the magic cure, but it makes it so that these tips that we're going to give you became accessible to me. And that's the best way I can describe it because I was trying to do all the things that we're going to say to you. And if you've heard tips like this before and you've tried to do them before, just know that was me too. And until I got diagnosed and until I got treated for it, they didn't do any good. I couldn't access them. And now my brain can access them and it's just a world of difference. So I just want to put that out there. Mental health, it rocks. Go take care of yours.
it's amazing.
Yes, it's amazing. Now that we've told you the signs to look for, we have the tips to help right after this. So we talked a lot about the signs that you may be experiencing right now. And first and foremost, I don't think that Bree and I can emphasize this one enough, but go see a doctor if you are feeling this way. I swear you are not imagining it. And there is help out there for you to feel better and to enjoy your life. So please go see a doctor. And if you're seeing a doctor already and you're still okay, I'm not so motivated. I still can need a little help. I want to improve. I want to grow. I want to be the one who changes our entire family dynamic by changing myself, because that's the only thing you have control over. Can't change other people. Can only change yourself. This is what we have for you. So the first one, is something that we don't do a lot, is acknowledging your own feelings. Oh my gosh, it's mind blowing. It is.
Yes. Well, actually, and you were talking about this morning. So in our Balance VIP group, you do short chats in the mornings. And today you were talking about that. What was it? Something like 90 seconds.
Oh, it only takes you 90 seconds to process an emotion if you allow yourself to do it. And I need to find the study for that because I've seen it quoted many places. One of them is in Mel Robbins' most recent book, The Let Them Theory, which is so good. Props to you, Mel Robbins. Come on our podcast. And it's just 90 seconds to process a feeling. So acknowledging our own feelings is so important because a lot of times we just stuff them down and think we're being silly or think we're making too big a deal out of things. And I have to tell you, your emotions are absolutely valid.
They are. And we have some tips on how to acknowledge those feelings. So and also I had mentioned in our Balance VIP program, we help you with these things. So we have a workbook we do every month, and it includes daily journaling,
Which a lot of people have some things about. I mean, shout out to our friend Amanda at Balance. Like, she does not like journaling. And I am with her there. I didn't like journaling a lot myself. What I find though, when you're journaling, at least for me, it slows my mind down enough that I could actually start to process information. Because I have a very fast mind where I will make connections so fast and people will be like, wait, we were just talking about this. Why are we talking about this now? And I'll describe the 3 steps I took in the past 2 seconds to get there. And so my brain just goes really, really fast, and journaling helps slow it down. So if you have a brain like that, journaling is so awesome.
Well, and I would also say that when it comes to any new habit, especially a therapeutic one, sometimes because it's so different and it's trying to get you to shift with some things, which we'll talk about a little bit later here, a couple steps down, it can be hard. So just give yourself some time, give yourself a chance to get to it. But here's why journaling helps with acknowledging your feelings. Sometimes we don't even know how we feel. We don't, like I said, right? Like back in February, wrong direction, Brie. Back in November of 2024, I was like, why am I feeling so ick? Like, I couldn't even think of another word other than ick. And I'm like, and it's bigger than ick. And I don't know what's going on. I really had to sit and think about it. And journaling kind of helps you do that. You see what you're saying, you write it down, and then you're like, okay, let's think about this. Why am I feeling this way? What's going on? So, and then sometimes you need the words. Sometimes we need the words on the feelings because our lives are more than just happy, mad, sad. And
journaling is also a way, I have found things that I am doing that have been not helpful to the situation. So I would start out a journal and I would be really, really mad at my kids for doing something. Or for instance, my daughter just got her driver's license, and this is a very new transition to me that I didn't think would be so hard, but she isn't coming home until 11 at night. And I'm like, I can't settle down. I'm like, and I get so mad at her. I get so mad because she's not telling me where she is, and she shouldn't she be sensitive to my feelings and and all these things are going through my head. And when I start to journal, I'll start with that, and then I'll start reminding myself, I'll be like, wait a minute, this is what I want her to do. I want her to be independent. I don't want her to feel like she needs to control my emotions in any way.
Yeah.
This is a situation where I am trying to control another person, and it is out of my control. And the goals I have for my daughter of her being emotionally resilient and not feeling beholden to me whatsoever, this behavior would not meet those goals. And so I need to just be sad about this. As Brene Brown would say, I'm feeling very vulnerable right now. This is why I'm feeling this way. It's nothing wrong. I'm just vulnerable. And that could take me from anger to tears of just grieving and sadness, which were the emotions the anger was covering up. And being able to experience the grieving and the sadness was what I needed to do versus get so angry. And so journaling helps me go through that process and figure out those things. We'll be right back after this.
Lynn, this time of year, parenting can be such a flusterclux.
You've come to the right place. I'm Lynn Lyons, and I've been treating anxious families for over 30 years.
I'm Lynn's sister-in-law and co-host Robin Hudson.
Join us for Flusterclux, a podcast for parents who worry.
Wait, that's everybody.
Yeah, these last few years have felt like one long anxiety attack for so many.
Why do you think parents are always surprised that a podcast about anxiety relates to them, even if no one in their house has an anxiety disorder?
Well, worry is human. Everyone does it, and anxiety shows up when we face uncertainty.
All the parenting tips you've taught me have been essential.
I love to break it down into skills we need to manage worry in our families.
We've covered so many topics: depression, burnout, meltdowns, perfectionism.
Don't forget scary mothers-in-law.
Right, but of course that's not my mother-in-law.
Because that's my mother.
And a listener.
As a psychotherapist, I like to teach parents and kids how to respond to everyday moments in healthy ways.
Managing anxiety really can be taught.
It really can. And I'll even tell you what to say.
We talk about serious stuff, but without being too serious.
Anxiety wants everything serious. Anxiety doesn't stand a chance when we're laughing, even about the tough stuff.
Are you overwhelmed by the things that get in the way of you doing what you want to do? Are you looking for ways to simplify life to better align with your values? Do you want to create space in your schedule so you have room for more of the good stuff? Play, joy, relationships, gratitude, and more? If you answered yes to any of these questions, I invite you to check out Edit Your Life, a podcast to help you edit the unnecessary from your life so you have more room to enjoy the awesome. Through episodes with me, Christine Coe, and a range of super smart, compassionate, and thoughtful guests, you'll come away with big picture insights and practical ways to declutter your home, schedule, and mental space without getting bogged down by perfection. I have always believed that small moments and actions matter tremendously. My goal is to help you find agency and space in your life through doable baby steps that will leave you feeling accomplished instead of overwhelmed. Check out Edit Your Life wherever you enjoy your podcasts.
Hello, you sentient ball of stardust. My name is Casey Davis. I'm a therapist and I'm an author of the book How to Keep House While Drowning, where I talk about ways to make it a little bit easier to take care of yourself when you're overwhelmed, stressed, have mental health issues, physical health issues, or maybe you're just in a hard season of life. Maybe you're looking for a place that you can come and listen to some practical advice. This is a podcast for all of the self-help rejects. We're going to talk about skills for survival and self-kindness. And I'm going to leave the pop psychology at the door. I promise not to tell you to meditate or to journal. We're just going to give you some really insightful conversations with hopefully some practical advice. So I don't believe you need to pick yourself up by the bootstraps. I don't want you to just try harder, and I don't believe that laziness exists. So join me over on Struggle Care, where we can find compassionate solutions that help us function a little bit better.
And then number 2, which goes right along with that, is practicing self-care. So I'm the journaling we talked about just now, and I'm going to say, like, there is one prompt that we have in our journal that helps me out so much. What does my mind need to hear? Mm-hmm. And what Bree's mind needs to hear a lot. Well, actually, you know what? I've done well with this one. I'm moving on into a new one, I think. But what I needed to hear for a very long time, like I want to say like every day for a year, I had to keep telling myself, I am enough. Yeah. Like what I am is enough, because I don't know about anybody else out there. I'm willing to bet money I'm not alone on this. We think that we're not enough in many different ways. Like, I'm not a good enough mom. I'm not a supportive enough mom. I'm not a good enough wife. I'm not a good enough dog owner. I'm not a good enough housekeeper. I'm not a good enough cook. Like, yeah, like everything. And you know that too, because like we would have this conversation in work. I would be like, oh, I can't do that. I'm not really good at that. And you'd be like, you did a good job, Brie. So I've gotten to the point now where I have learned that I think people are happy with me. I am enough for the people in my life, and that's okay. Now, just like, I don't know what my mind needs to hear just yet. I just came to that realization like in December that I finally feel like I've toppled that one. So now, what does it need to hear this year? I'm not sure yet. Probably I can be happy again. I'll be honest with you. That's what my mind needs to hear. I can be happy again. I can do hard things.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing to do. Yeah. I think what I'm concentrating my mind needs to hear is that I don't have to prove myself. It's funny, like it was actually a tarot card reading and New Year's. My sister-in-law's into tarot cards. And so she did a reading for me. And one of the cards, like our discussion led to me, like when the red light for my year is constantly needing to prove myself. And I could show up. I see that show up in all of my interactions. Like all the times I'm not happy with how I've presented myself or how I've behaved, it is always leaked back to me trying to prove myself in some way, either with some form of knowledge or with like some form, like I did that already or anything like that. So
yeah. And another thing that helps too, I think, is also like just thinking about your wins. We call them wins. You can call them gratitudes. You could call them good things. You can call them roses, whatever you want to call them. But think about what are the things that went well. And you might be like, okay, how is that practicing self-care? That sounds more like practicing gratitude. Sometimes they are the same. Yes, exactly. I'm like, sometimes practicing gratitude is self-care. It's reminding yourself that good things did happen. And a lot of times you're going to find that those wins, like they do involve you. Like you helped make that win happen. So yeah, you're awesome. You're amazing. And you know what else? We talk about this a lot too. Acknowledge that Bob is there and that Bob's a freaking liar.
Yeah, he is a liar. He's just trying to keep you safe. He's trying to make you sure you're not hurt. But you get hurt by taking risks, and risks are necessary to live a happy life because you will not grow without risks. It's funny where you say find your wins too, because I did this exercise at the beginning of the year where I looked at my calendar and I had to list like all of my wins that happened through the year, and I used the calendar to kind of jog my memory. And I started the activity and I was like, there's not going to be anything here. Like I didn't really do anything 2024. I filled up 5 pages. 5 pages. So I think like sometimes like our brains shut off the wins that we do make, because I swear you have them. You have so many you're not giving yourself credit for.
Exactly. And I wanted to say for anyone who is joining us kind of new this year, Bob is that voice in your head that is telling you crappy things. We named him Bob because he reminds me, in my head, he looks like the mucus. From the mucus commercials. From the mucus commercials. From the, I forget the name of the medicine now. But the one that, yes.
That was just a guess. It was just a guess.
He's the gross blob that's wearing like a little torn, tank top, and he's got his hat and his cigar, and like that's Bob in my head. Bob is this like blob that's just crappy. Everything's negative to Bob.
In my head, Bob is like a bald man with glasses and suspenders and a pocket protector, and is like has a clipboard, and he's like, according to my calculations, that is one of my kids' favorites. According to my calculations, I don't know how they do it, but they say they have a voice. They do with it too.
I love that. I love that. Okay, number 3. What is the third thing we can do this year?
Boost your energy by moving your body. Move your body. Find something that you love to move your body. And I like have a little story about this because I do like exercise, but like lately the past few months, like I have not wanted to do the exercises I usually do, like the Peloton things alone in my basement. That's how I had been exercising. When I went to New York in November, I went to live Peloton classes, and I love talking with people and I love being around people. And I'm like, dude, I need to like go back and like do some stuff with people. So I tried an activity that I've been wanting to try for a really long time, but I was a little scared of Pilates with the reformer Pilates, and I'm in love. I love it. I want to go every day. I just took a harder class yesterday and I was like, this isn't hard. This is fun. Like, it's just fun.
What is Pilates with the reformer? What does that mean?
So a reformer is like, it's a machine. Think of it like a sled with cables on it. Like if you think of old school kind of Norditrax or whatever, but you're laying down, like that's how the cables work. And you use the machine to add resistance to workouts. So like you still work out your whole body, but it's less hard on your body and you're doing a lot of core work in it, but you get to like pull yourself around with like cables and strings, and like it's just fun. Think of new ways to use that reformer every single day. Like there is no workout that's been the same.
I would think that if you are someone who likes vestibular movement, that would be a really good one.
It's a fun one
because it slides you. So it's giving you that vestibular movement. That's awesome. Mm-hmm. And that's another thing. Like you've said this before, and you know that it became my mantra. Like train for the life you want to have in terms of boosting your energy. Because if you're like Brie, so first of all, again, if you're new, I am like to sleep in, love to be in my bed. Lazy days are my favorite, and I balk at the idea of exercise. I hate the idea of exercise, but I love going out and going to going to like music festivals. I love going to markets, like farmers markets. And I love doing our like stand-up paddleboarding, kayaking. Like I like going on like hikes in nature. I'm not like, I will not go up Camelback Mountain ever, because I don't want to climb a big rock out of nowhere, but give me like lots of like trees and waterfalls and I'm there. However, I have learned as I've gotten older and I dug my heels into this whole anti-exercise thing, Brie doesn't have the stamina to do the things that she enjoys as much anymore. And I hate feeling tired. I hate feeling sore. I hate not like having my enjoyment of the activity being cut short because I'm not in a good I'm just not feeling, I'm feeling physically uncomfortable. So yeah, like boosting those movements so that I can train for the life I want to have. I love that idea. That makes me feel so much better than you need to exercise because it increases endorphins and it makes you feel better. And it does. And I'm just doing that from like the things you would hear when you're in other scenarios. Like that's what resonates for me. So I love that idea.
The life you want to have. Go exercise to do that. It's funny, like ever since I started Pilates too, I have some shoulder tendonitis and I couldn't move my arm much. It has helped with that so much. My arm is moving because my back muscles are strengthening and my posture is so improving. Like I'm looking at myself walking through the house through this mirror and I'm like, I'm up straight. That's amazing.
I think it's funny because I think that I was so worried about turning 40 and because I was like, because 40 was over the hill when we were little, right? Like that was like in the 80s and the 90s, 40 was over the hill. We all know now that collectively it's not considered over the hill. Like 50 is the new 40, whatever, right? Yeah. But I will say this, like when I turned 40, I was like, oh, I turned 40. I can still, like when I was 40, I would go to a concert and get home at like 2 a.m. and then get up at 6 a.m. and go kayaking. Like that was fine. I could do that. I couldn't do that now at 45.
I couldn't do that ever. I need my sleep. I put high priority on that sleep.
But it's crazy how like, so all I'm going to say is that you never know until it hits you how quickly your body gets stiff. And so exercise and stretching, even for 10 minutes a day, just do like a little yoga. It's helpful, which actually brings us into our last tip of starting with small changes. Very small. Doesn't have to be huge. You can do little things. And one of the things that helps us with that we've seen is really helpful in our Balance VIP group. Like I was talking about our workbook we have every month with like just different things that we can do. We have a habit tracker. And I love that our habit tracker only has 3 spots. There's only 3 habits that we look into tackling a month. And to me, 3 doesn't scare me. The ones that have like 6, I'm like, holy crap. It's a lot of opportunity for me to fail.
3 is sometimes too much for me, and I just do 1. It's all about what you need to focus on at that moment in time. Since we're here in January, we have this Mind Body Unicorn Challenge going, which is tackling all 3 of the habits. The mind, which is the journaling we talked about, the body, which is just 10 minutes more movement than you're doing currently, and then the unicorn, which is, finding your fun thing, because so many of us moms don't do that fun thing. We put it off and we think we have other things we have to do.
So finding something that you enjoy doing, it's not bubble baths.
No, it's not self-hygiene. Hygiene is not self-care. Self-care shouldn't be something that you have to do extra to put on your plate either. Like self-care is something that actually rejuvenates you. So if you feel like in your life you don't have enough space for that, that's okay. It means that, tackle that journaling first, tackle that little bit of movement, find out what's really going on in your head. Because once you find that out, then you can work towards these other things. Because if we're saying like go do something fun for yourself, or you're like, I just can't, I'm too overwhelmed, concentrate just on the journaling. Try to find out those feelings.
Or what about the one, this is another common one we hear. And if you're listening to this and you're going, yeah, that's all great, the idea of having time to do something that rejuvenates me, but I'm too busy. I have too many responsibilities within my family. I have too many responsibilities with my kids' school, with work. We'll help you set healthy boundaries.
Yes.
We'll help you find that time.
It's true.
There. It's there.
There's these levels of change. It's called the change cycle. It was created in 1983 by some researchers. But I mean, right now, if you're feeling like so overwhelmed, you don't even know what the problem is probably. You probably think like you have too many responsibilities, you have all of that. You're not quite aware that there's a problem there. You might think that this is just something that is. This is how life as a mom is, and this is just something you have to get through it. What I want to tell you is that there is a problem there if you're overwhelmed and frustrated. And I want to help you move to that next thing of the change cycle where you're aware of the problem and you also know that there's a solution to help you through it. Now, we talked about a lot of the solutions in this episode right here. Obviously, like if you've been listening to No Guilt Mom, you know about balance. You know, we have a membership. There are hundreds of women in that membership right now working on improving themselves, being the change makers in their family. So we do have a link for you down there if you're more interested in that. But until next time, the best mom's a happy mom. Take care of you. We'll talk to you later.
Thanks for stopping by.
Hello, you sentient ball of stardust. My name is Casey Davis. I'm a therapist and I'm an author of the book, How to Keep House While Drowning, where I talk about ways to make it a little bit easier to take care of yourself when you're overwhelmed, stressed, have mental health issues, physical health issues, or maybe you're just in a hard season of life. Maybe you're looking for a place that you can come and listen to some practical advice. This is a podcast for all of the self-help rejects. We're going to talk about skills for survival and self-kindness. And I'm going to leave the pop psychology at the door. I promise not to tell you to meditate or to journal. We're just going to give you some really insightful conversations with hopefully some practical advice. So I don't believe you need to pick yourself up by the bootstraps. I don't want you to just try harder, and I don't believe that laziness exists. So join me over on Struggle Care, where we can find compassionate solutions that help us function a little bit better.